What's up, everybody? Welcome back to Squeeze the Juice. That's right, we are back-to-back weeks. It's been a minute since we've done that, but here we are again. It is NBA draft night. I don't know how to feel about it. We don't know how to feel about it. We do have Fueled by Motown, Tyler back in the house with us on this incredible night after the disastrous NBA draft lottery. It's almost time to kick this off here as they're preparing to, announce the number one pick. How we doing?
Well, I'm doing okay. All things considered. We're here. We're about to kick it off, and we know what's going to go down. Victor's going to go 1, and really the draft starts at number 2. So I'm excited to get past this first pick and then go from there because really, as Pistons fans, we got screwed in the lottery, so now we just kind of have to see how the cards fall. And, we know what it's going to be. It's going to be Scoot 2, Brandon Miller 3, or Brandon Miller 2, Scoot 3. We'll see what happens after that. But the draft really starts at 2, and I'm excited for it to kick off because the anticipation is getting to me.
I think we all just have to move past the lottery. We've had enough time. I'm never going to be happy with what happened, but we got to move past it and we have to start talking about the realism of them having pick 5 and what that means. I have done some research on some of the prospects. It's not going to be Victor. It's not going to be Scoot. It's not going to be Brandon Miller. But there are some really solid prospects to get excited about. I was telling Justin, whether or not this pick is going to be like a franchise-altering pick, probably not. But this pick is probably going to be the 4th most important player to the Pistons moving forward, or at least should be. So we'll see what happens. I've been doing a ton of research on reports and what may happen. Sounds like the Pistons might consider trading back if the right opportunity comes along. They might stay at 5, and then they may trade up from pick 31 to move back into the first round. They may sit still and just pick at both their 2 spots. We'll see what happens, but I'm excited to see what happens with particularly the Pistons. But this is such a crazy draft with Victor and Scoot and Brandon Miller. And just like, Evan said, the draft starts at 2. As we speak right now, San Antonio's on the clock. We all know that's going to be Victor, but we should still probably talk about him. But, yeah, he's a fantastic player. I mean, he's got a 8-foot wingspan. He can handle like a guard. He can shoot like a guard. He can defend like Rudy Gobert. I mean, what a talent! And to be honest, if not Detroit, San Antonio is kind of like the best position from my standpoint. I feel like you guys feel the same way.
I preferred him in San Antonio.
But really, I want to ask you guys, what do you think his impact will be year 1? And then really, how quickly can San Antonio go to being a playoff contender again? Because it's been a while since we've seen the Spurs in that mix. They've had some really bad seasons lately, and I feel like everyone kind of forgets how bad they've been. They were just as bad as the Pistons last year. Don't get it twisted. I know the win totals are a little bit different, but they were just as bad as the Pistons. What do you see from Victor year 1, and then long term, like how quickly do they get back to that status?
Sure, I'll start. I think right away, because he's Victor Wembanyama, he's going to have the national hype. He's going to have the Zion Williamson effect, where anything he does is going to be talked about around the world, and so therefore, even if he has a borderline all-star rookie year, he's going to be an all-star because he's Victor Wembanyama. So honestly, I think that right off the get-go, he's such a great player, and I know Pop is going to feature him, and he's going to be the everything that they do offensively and defensively. I really do think he could challenge for an all-star appearance as a rookie, which is crazy to say. Don't know if he gets it.
Stick to it.
Say it with your chest. Don't know if he.
Victor Wembanyama all-star. Tyler.
I don't know if he gets the nod. but I think he will be in conversation, right? He might be one of those guys.
I think so.
He might be one of those.
Could, for sure.
I will say he might be one of the guys where, someone is in, like one of the top players gets injured or opts out of playing the All-Star game, and so they kind of pop a couple of guys in that were maybe fringe guys that got,
he's like an alternate.
And he's like an alternate, maybe something like that. But he's going to have a great season. I think he could average, 20 points,
at least
8 rebounds, 7 assists. I think that's like kind of like the floor for his rookie year. I mean, he's going to I think
because he's going to get the ball. He's probably going to get
12. You know what? I'm going to say 20 points, 12 rebounds, and 6 assists. I'm going to go crazy that he averages a double-double.
As long as he's healthy.
His rookie year.
That'll be the big thing, how that body holds up. Long term, what do you see, Justin, from the Spurs? Like, how quickly can they get back?
To me, I think it's going to... I think a minimum is at least 3 to 4 years.
I'm with you there. I'm with you. I'm not going to go overboard.
It's because he is that talent, but what are they looking at going forward? Like, are they going to start... Because he's there, that can intrigue free agents, right? And, you don't have that crazy team.
It will.
Yeah, absolutely will. Especially with Pop as the coach. And, Texas, the destination, money is a factor, with taxes and all that. I know that's kind of like a lower-end thing, but it
matters.
It definitely matters. I know it's more of probably a football thing.
San Antonio is kind of like a legacy franchise, too. Like, they're not like, the Hornets, or they're not like they have a winning... pedigree.
Mantra. They got a culture
that's
it starts with Pop. It starts with Pop.
Sure.
I would say by 2025, like the start of the 2025 season, I would say we are comfortably predicting the Spurs in the playoffs. I think you get 2023 and 2024. I think Victor's year 3, we should see the Spurs comfortably in the playoffs if they make enough moves around him, because even with LeBron James, his rookie year, the Cavs, I don't think made the playoffs his rookie year, so I wouldn't expect the Spurs to do the same. And then year 2, I believe the Cavs, I'm pretty sure they made the playoffs year 2, and then, so on and so forth. End up getting to the finals with that garbage team. Right. The Cavs didn't support LeBron at the start. The Spurs, a little bit of a different situation. You got Jeremy Sohan, you have
Keldon
Johnson, Devin Vassell. They got guys on that team that...
Young talent
that can help Victor kind of build with him. It's like a development, like a young Spurs development coming up at the same time.
It's like the freshmen playing with varsity with all the seniors, right? They're not like crazy veterans, but like they know the NBA.
Right, they got a ton of cap space and a war chest of first-round picks,
I was going to say, they have a war chest from, the DeJounte Murray trade. They got some things that they could package together to get themselves... Like, ideally, if you're San Antonio, you make a run at free agency maybe next year, where the free agency class is probably a lot better. You maybe see if you can get one, and then you package some of your picks to maybe get a third star. All of a sudden, you got yourselves like a young, core with Victor and 2 stars to pair with, and you're ready to get going. As we're speaking here, Adam Silver's walking to the podium.
We know what this is going to be. This is like the most obvious
with the first
overall pick
I still want to see it just because it's
already on ESPN.
I know.
Spoiler!
There it is.
Shock.
See, when the Pistons
draft
took Cade, I actually was like scared. I was scared we weren't going to take it.
It was announced like 3 hours before the draft.
It was, but I was still like...
Because Jalen Green was still in that moment, he was like just a lot, like he was so talented, Not that he still is, but we can tell we made the right pick.
So we talked
100%.
We talked Victor. Charlotte's now on the clock.
Yeah.
So let's just let's start with that.
I know you want to.
So I'll just lay the foundation. So the reports are that Brandon Miller was kind of leading the charge in the front office of Charlotte. However, earlier today there were reports that Charlotte might actually have been doing some extra work and might actually be leaning Scoot, and it really sounds like they're on the fence here. Make your case as to what you would do, Evan, at pick 2, and we'll kind of go around the table.
Well, this answer is going to shock you, but I want to pick Scoot or Brandon Miller. I would be trading this pick if I'm Charlotte. Look, you have LaMelo Ball. You don't need another ball-dominant guard in Scoot Henderson. You just don't. LaMelo's your point guard. He's your number one. Brandon Miller, I think, is a good fit, but if I'm New Orleans and I'm offering Brandon Ingram for that number 2 pick, I'm probably taking Brandon Ingram right now over Brandon Miller because Ingram is going to help my team win now. I'll be able to get more talent to help us win now, a.k.a. Miles Bridges. I'll be able to bring him back. Now I have a really, really good wing pairing with Bridges and Brandon Ingram, LaMelo Ball. Like, that's a team that's ready to compete in the East. Brandon Miller is going to take a little bit of time. Like, I love Brandon Miller as a prospect, but if you're offering me Brandon Ingram and picks or whatever the case may be for number 2, I'm taking that deal all day. But I'm getting a talent that I know is going to help me win now.
It sounds like New Orleans isn't going to do that. It sounds like Zion was a player that they were
shopping.
They were thinking about maybe shopping. It didn't sound like they were going around just offering them up in deals, but they were just kind of seeing what they could get. But it sounded like Charlotte was more interested in Brandon Ingram, and New Orleans shut that down. So, assuming that no stars are on the table, and you're pretty much like you're either going to take a less than offer for this pick, or you're picking.
If you're forcing my hand to choose between Scoot and Brandon Miller, I'm taking Brandon Miller.
Is it for the fit, or because that's genuinely who you would take as the second best player?
I genuinely think Brandon Miller is the second best player in this draft. I love his size. I love his ability to create for himself. I think he's a good shot maker too. I think the athleticism is probably lacking a little bit, but I think he could come along. He's got a really good frame, and I think while everyone wanted to overblow his character and the whole situation, which was such an unfortunate situation, at the end of the day, Brandon Miller is not going to be indicted. He's not going to be arrested for anything that comes out. At the end of the day, that their decisions have been made. That the courts in Alabama, the prosecuting office, like they've already made their decisions. Like,
and he'd have to be cleared before.
Exactly. So there's nothing to worry about in terms of criminal liability. The thing with Brandon Miller is, I just think his upside is higher than Scoot's in this day and age in the NBA. He's a wing player. I think his defense will get better. I think he can get more athletic. Although that's kind of a weird thing to say, but I do think he can improve like his physical abilities. I think he gets stronger. I think he can get a little bit quicker, a little bit faster. But what I see as a basketball player, I love out of Brandon Miller, and I'll take that all day over Scoot. And I haven't really seen Scoot play, but when I look at the box score, he can't shoot the ball, and he's an undersized guard. He's 6'2". So I'm taking a super athletic 6'2" undersized guard who can't shoot. That's like Donovan Mitchell without a three-point shot. He
shot 32% from 3 last year and 75% from the line.
That's not going to cut it. That's not going to cut out of a lead guard. So I'm going to pass on that. He's literally Donovan Mitchell that can't shoot. Donovan Mitchell's 6'2", but he can shoot, and he's super athletic.
I mean, the thing is, he shoots well enough to where you feel like you can project it. Jaden Ivey didn't shoot that well in college either, but you felt like you could project that he'd be an average to maybe slightly above average shooter. I feel like Scoot's the same way. I would take Scoot just simply for the fact that, like, to me, he's very comparable to Jaden Ivey, very athletic, able to, like, get to the rim, can get whatever he wants at the rim, probably will be able to draw a bunch of free throws because of his ability to put pressure on the rim, and therefore will open up the floor for him to shoot because people are going to be afraid that he's going to drive. And I don't understand the argument against the fit with LaMelo. Since when is there a concern that you have too many guys that can handle the ball? Like, unless LaMelo's really going to the front office and saying, I want the ball in my hands every single possession, or else I'm going to force my hand out of here. Like, it was the same argument with Jaden Ivey and Cade Cunningham. Like, you make it work, you figure it out. In this day and age, you can never have too many ball handlers. So I believe that Scoot is the second best player in the draft. To me, Brandon Miller is a great player, great shooter. I do agree with everything that you said about Brandon Miller. I don't dislike Brandon Miller at all. I think Brandon Miller is a great prospect. I just think Scoot Henderson and LaMelo Ball, that's like a great backcourt that you can build your team around. And in my opinion, Scoot Henderson would be a number 1 pick in just about any other draft. I don't think you pass up, especially at number 2, you don't pass up the best available player for fit. Even if you are like, I don't feel like Brandon Miller and Scoot are that far off as prospects. I think Scoot's just a little bit better. So if I'm Charlotte, I'm just taking the best player, and I'm not worried about having multiple ball handlers. So
my issue with Scoot Henderson,
I already know who the next pick is.
Okay, don't tell me. My issue with Scoot Henderson with Charlotte is not the fact that you need multiple ball handlers, because I do agree.
Know who it is.
Your point there with Cade and Ivy, like that's a good comparison. I also think Trae Young and DeJounte Murray would be a good comparison for LaMelo and Scoot together. But my issue is I think Scoot is more of the playmaking type than a Jaden Ivey or a DeJounte Murray. Like when you get a DeJounte Murray, he's that defensive anchor, and the pick is on the clock, so we're about to see if we can maybe continue this conversation about who gets picked here.
Yeah, here we go. Adam Silver. There you go.
Well, there's Brandon Miller going number 2 overall. That's B. Millie. I think that's a great pick.
I don't have any problem. I don't have any problems with it.
You can't complain about it's tough because you can't complain about the top 3. Like it's where they go.
I don't have any problems with it. I just feel like they might have left a little bit of value on the table, but so little. I'm not complaining about it. I know. Like we don't have to go back and forth about it anymore.
No,
Brandon Miller's the pick. Let's just talk about Brandon Miller. What I will say is, if I'm Portland, this is a tough situation, but we'll get to that here in a second. Brandon Miller, he's going to play great again next to LaMelo, right? Like, LaMelo's going to create, and Brandon Miller will be a secondary creator and can mostly focus on just being a great spot-up shooter, being a great, wing player alongside LaMelo. I don't have any problems with the pick. Yeah, I mean, I'll let Evan and maybe Justin talk a little bit because, I mean, Evan's the big Brandon Miller
nothing more that I say will, impact these two's opinions on Brandon Miller. I've loved Brandon Miller for a long time, and even before he said Paul George is my GOAT, when I watched him play against Michigan State, I was like, this guy kind of reminds me of Paul George. And look,
I see that.
The thing about Brandon Miller is what will that next step be for him? Because what I saw at Alabama and what I liked about him at Alabama, I think he can do at the NBA level, but can he get to that elite status or that all-NBA player status? Because I do think he has future all-star in him, but will he get to the next step? I think that's maybe where people have some concerns with Brandon Miller. Maybe that's why they like Scoot a little bit more, is because Scoot could be a generational point guard, someone that can really carry your franchise. Brandon Miller, he might be more of a number 2. And that's not a bad thing either, right? Because if you have LaMelo and Brandon Miller, guess what? That's a really, really good one, too. I mean, I can't really complain if I'm a Charlotte fan right now. I think you got my favorite player in the draft outside of Jordan Hawkins, but Jordan Hawkins is more of like a, tournament love kind of guy. Brandon Miller was my favorite prospect going in, and if you're a Charlotte fan, you got to be stoked.
What do you think, Justin?
Before I saw the pick, my thought was I think Scoot is the better player in the prospect, but I think he's better in Charlotte. I agree. I know you said with the it's never a problem to have too many ball handlers. I agree, but I also think the silent egos of Melo and Scoot would clash realistically to me. And the thing is, Scoot would have to be locked in, and it'd be easier for Melo to be like, I'm out. And that could have had some underlying factor that we don't know about, in the draft pick. But I think they play. I just think Brandon Miller's a better fit with LaMelo. And my biggest thing is, I know it doesn't connect because we have Portland coming up here, but I think it works out perfectly because Portland should take Scoot and get rid of Dame. Dame's my favorite player in the NBA, but they need to get rid of him. Go young. You can trade Dame for a lot, and then you're already going to have Scoot, Simons, Shaedon Sharp. I mean, you just got young talent already rolling in. So just let it reload. Now's the moment.
Unfortunately, I completely agree with you. I agree with everything you're saying. I mean, Dame's probably probably my favorite player in the NBA that isn't a Piston. Love Dame. But I agree that it's time to just tear it down. It's time to rebuild. It's time to just accept that it didn't work with Dame, and you just send him off respectfully to a winning organization, and you start your reset with Scoot Henderson, Shaden Sharp, and Anthony Simons, and a slew of a haul that you're going to get from Dame. That would be the ideal thing to do. However, I do not think that that's what they're going to do. From all reports, sounds like they are dead set on building around Dame, and maybe it's because Dame loves Portland and Portland loves Dame, and they're like, let's just stop, let's just not overcomplicate this. Let's continue on this marriage, and we're going to do everything we can to continue to build around you, because maybe they just really feel like Dame can win them a championship. It looks like they're keeping this pick. I mean, we don't know for sure, because obviously in the NBA you can't swap picks during the draft. You end up drafting four other teams and swap after the fact. So we'll see if they keep this pick.
It's just crazy.
But it's disgusting to me what Portland's doing. It's malfeasance, really, to keep Dame around for this long when your team is picking third overall. The Trailblazers are nowhere close to competing in the West. You're telling me that this team can get to a championship with the teams that are in front of them right now? You're talking about the Warriors. You're talking about the Nuggets. You're talking about the Lakers. You're talking about who else is in the West? The Suns. I mean, there's so many teams ahead of them, and that's like the top four. Let me get to the next four. They're all better than Portland. Let me get to the next four. They might be better than Portland. I'm sorry, but Portland has no shot while Dame is still on that team. They need to rebuild. They need to tear it down to the studs. And they don't even need to do that much because you're going to get Scoot here. You have Anthony Simons, like you said. And they're going to have a ton of... Shane Sharp, we'll see what he can do. But they're going to have a ton of picks to work with.
He doesn't sound like he likes Shane Sharp.
Because he didn't like him last year, but also
we just didn't see much from him, so I don't know yet.
I mean, maybe he turns into great trade bait. I already saw the pick.
We know who the pick is, but do we... Yeah. I mean, we believe they're keeping it. See it.
It's Hawkins.
There you go.
Nope, it's Scoot.
Yep, it's Scoot. No,
all right. Are you going to keep watching and get spoiled? Are you going to choose to be spoiled every time and just keep it to yourself? I mean, you can.
I've been, because it's funny, because it's...
No, because when the Pistons are on the clock, then you're going to have this face.
I'm not going to see who the Pistons
So let's just quickly talk about Scoot with Dame, with this situation. We'll really quickly stalk that, and then we'll get into the real juice of the draft.
I'll just say quick, I think this is terrible. I think this is horrible. If you're a Blazers fan, you're probably happy to get Scoot, but long term, they have no direction at all, and that's the most concerning thing.
Let's just be a little fair. What better mentor to Scoot Henderson than Damian Lillard? I mean, let's be a little fair.
I don't think he needs a mentor. Just let Scoot go out there and
I don't
learn.
disagree with having a year, but if by this time next year, if Damian Lillard is not off the Blazers for his own good, that's loyalty
has of what they should.
I know loyalty has a point.
Right.
It's different when you have Dirk taking you to multiple playoffs in the title, right? And Kobe's the whole other thing, but the longevity on a team, loyalty is great, but there's a point where the loyalty and too much loyalty, just the crossroads meet, and it's just you're hurting each other.
You're hurting your team, and you're hurting yourself. And we talked about this. It's like Stafford and the Lions. It was hurting. The two sides were hurting each other for so long, and it just got to the point.
Didn't want to be the bad guy. We talked about that.
They didn't want to be the bad guy. They didn't want to be the villain in the room. And it just got to the point where Sheila Hamp honestly came in and said, I'm getting a new GM, I'm getting a new coach, and they're going to decide. And almost immediately, Stafford's like, I don't want to be a part of this. He finally had the self-awareness to say, yeah, it's my time to get out of here. And honestly, even if he didn't say that, I'm pretty confident Brad Holmes would have traded Stafford anyway. Mm-hmm. Portland and Dame are just hurting themselves, and no one wants to step up and say, it's my time to leave. Dame literally, it's been reported, Dame doesn't want to play with rookies. He doesn't want to play with young guys. He wants to build a contender.
That's all they're giving him.
And all they're doing is building a young team. So why are you holding on to Dame? It makes no sense. So that's my 2 cents on it.
Yeah.
It's just ridiculous, honestly.
You're there.
This is
I think my only thought process could be is they were like, hopefully we get Scoot, and then we can make the Dame decision. I feel like that'd be the logic.
That's what I was
slight
going to
logic.
say. I was waiting for you guys to finish, but I was going to say, like, you can still draft Scoot, and the offseason, you do, like, the draft is the beginning of the offseason, so they still have a whole offseason, so maybe they haven't made their final decision yet, but they're like, if we're taking Scoot or Brandon Miller because we haven't gotten any good offers for number 3, we're taking that guy there, and then we're going to take until, free agency, maybe a little into free agency to figure out what we're going to do, which you'd think by now they have a plan, but maybe they don't.
That organization.
But if you're Portland, aren't you trying to trade Dame before the draft so you might be able to have a pick or 2 in the lottery this year? Maybe you get more down the line. Like, aren't you trying to trade him before this goes on? And wasn't there a report that said they aren't even going to listen to Dame conversations?
Maybe the outcome of the draft changed their decision. Maybe if Brandon Miller was the guy, they did this, and if Scoot was the guy, they did that. So anyway, Scoot's a trailblazer. We'll see how that all works out. There's the whole offseason for them to figure that out.
0.
It's unbelievable that 2 morbid franchises in the Hornets and the Blazers get the 2nd and 3rd pick in the NBA draft. These 2 teams have no idea what they're doing. I mean,
talk about big moves though. Your boy Beal. And I was holding down your Wizards.
Yeah, I mean, the Wizards don't know what they're doing either, but I think they finally have a direction now.
I think they've got some
They finally made a decision within the last week. Because up until then,
it's a full-blown
up until
rebuild.
then, the Wizards are doing what the Portland Trailblazers are doing now, where they're just holding Beal ransom with a star player. And ultimately, you hope that Portland learns from Beal and doesn't hold on to him for so long to where he's only worth Chris Paul in a couple of second-round pick swaps, right? But
yeah, and the new, Mike Winger, he came in and he really didn't have a choice. Like, the return that he got on Kristaps and Beal, like, that was probably about as best as he could have done in the situation that he was given. But to flip Chris Paul for Jordan Poole, right. I feel like that was a major win.
That was a good decision.
I mean, everyone's going to complain about Poole's contract, but it doesn't matter because the Wizards are rebuilding. So it doesn't really matter what the contract is. If Poole comes in and balls out, someone could pick up the phone and trade for Poole.
They also
and
got
then you get more value on top of that.
Tyus Jones is the best backup point guard in the league, and he's an average starter, and he's relatively young, and you got a bunch of picks. So they finally are starting their rebuild. So we'll see what happens there. But
and, I mean, the Pistons had they started from ground zero too. But they started with nothing. They had no one to trade. They had no picks.
The thing is, you don't have how sometimes you look at a team and you're like, gosh, that's just a trash lineup. Like, your lineup's going to be Tyus Jones, Jordan Poole. You have Danilo Gallinari. I know he's older.
Denny
you have Mike Muscala.
Corey
Mike
Kispert.
Muscala. Exactly. You have those guys.
Daniel Gafford.
They're not gonna after getting Poole. They ain't throwing no bag trying to re-sign Kuzma.
No, they won't get Kuzma. Kuzma's gonna go somewhere else.
Do we want to talk about the Rockets? Because the draft has finally started.
Yeah,
at pick 4.
It's funny because the Rockets to me are in a weird space. Like, I don't know what they do here. I mean, everyone's saying Eamon Thompson is the pick, but I don't know.
Is he?
Like the Rockets, I feel like they aren't really a big team. They don't really have a ton of size. It just feels very I don't.
They're kind of doing a rebuild, kind of in a weird way. They're kind of trying to take a shortcut way to do a rebuild. They're trying to fast track a rebuild, and they're hoping that it works. They're hoping they land James Harden. They're hoping a couple things happen.
We had him, but let's bring him back.
I think. Okay, so I want to talk about the Thompson twins real quick. I was not in on the Thompson twins. I talked about it a lot on my Twitter. I'm not a big fan. I wasn't a big fan of them, and I'm still not the biggest Thompson twins fans. But I've come around to understanding why people like them so much. They are uber athletic. They're both incredible playmakers. They both see the floor really well. Especially Asar being a wing. Most wings don't see the floor as well as he does and can play make as well as he does. However, they're both atrocious shooters, and that's a huge red flag for me because what do the Pistons lack the most? They were one of the worst three-point shooting teams in NBA history.
Shooting and defense.
And defense, yeah. And both twins project to be good defenders, and they were both good defenders in the overtime the overtime elite, program.
It's so weird to talk about that.
Take that with a grain of salt. But I've come around to understanding them. But I'm still not the biggest Thompson twin fans.
Let's see who they pick here.
Houston making their pick right now.
I've been seeing it on ESPN on my computer, but I turned it away now for the Pistons.
Well, there it is.
There's Amon. Amon Thompson. Check it.
Amon Thompson from
OT
Overtime Elites. So, yeah, the thing that I like about Amon Thompson is, like you said, he's a really good playmaker. He's a super athletic guy. He's going to be a good defender. But the thing about Overtime Elite guys and G League guys that, like, I kind of hold myself to is, like, I don't watch these guys play. And I don't know the level of competition they're going up against. Like, it could be high schoolers. It could be guys, like, where the style of play is just purely offensive.
The G League is better competition than OT Elite by far.
I would assume.
OT Elite, you're playing 16 to 19-year-olds, most of which are guys that might have had some D1 offers and decided to opt to take some money. So you're playing against not great competition in the overtime program.
That's why it's so weird to me.
But the G League, you're playing borderline NBA players. So I think the G League is equivalent to to college basketball, probably competition. But yeah, the level of competition definitely weary.
I don't know. The thing I love about college basketball is you got to really prepare in a way that I don't think you prepare in these other programs. I mean, maybe I'm just ignorant or naive to it, but I mean, every single game in college basketball, those coaches have you prepared. I mean, if you go to Michigan State, Tom Izzo is working you, right? I mean, it's just
he knows what it takes.
It's just the nature of the beast. And I don't know if these guys in these programs are getting worked to the extent that college basketball players get worked. And that's why I love being able to watch college basketball players come into the NBA and succeed. And especially, when they're doing it against guys that, do go to Overtime Elite or do go to the G League. I like to see the college players, maybe even sophomore, junior guys, right? They come in and they just contribute right away. You want to know why? Because they've been through it, they've learned, they've stuck with it, and they have actual coaching getting them to that point. It's just so hard to evaluate these guys when you don't see them play. I can tell you I love Brandon Miller because I saw him play. I don't know the other guys. I can't give you anything on him.
I'll agree that I don't know much about the overtime program whatsoever, but I don't agree with the G League thing because it's a professional league. Like, the Pistons G League affiliate has a professional coach, professional NBA trainers, and that's
but they're
how
not playing against the Ignite, are they? I don't think they are.
Yeah, they are.
They're the G League Ignite.
Yeah,
I don't think they
team.
play. I don't think they play like the Motor City Cruise though.
I can't confirm or deny that.
I'll look.
I believe they do.
Oh, I don't want to spoil. I almost spoiled myself.
Yeah.
I don't have to worry about that.
I just saw the Pistons Select.
It's a professional league. They're being trained and coached like professionals. So I don't think that the G League Ignite is a concern. But I'm into the Rockets. I think him paired with Jalen Green will be interesting. Jalen Green, who's a volume scorer, and Amen, who's a playmaker first, and we'll see what happens. I think that's a pretty good pairing. But here we go. So the Pistons pick is in. We don't know if they're keeping it or not. We haven't been on Twitter. I'm going to check after the pick. We're going to assume that they're keeping it.
Yeah.
So what do you think?
Feeling.
So let's say two things real quick because the pick's going to be announced so we can all get through it. What do you think's going to be the pick and who would you pick?
I think the pick is going to be Asar Thompson, and who would I pick? I don't know. Throw it up in the air, whatever card lands on it. I really don't know. These guys are all the same to me. So I'd pick Asar, and I think they'll pick Asar.
Okay.
I think it's going to be him too, but I would have taken. Originally, you asked me beforehand, probably a couple days ago, I would have said Cam Whitmore, but I'm going to lean more Jarris Walker now.
Okay. I think the pick is going to be Asar Thompson, and who I would pick, I'm actually going to say Cam Whitmore, because I think that Jarris Walker, I think Cam Whitmore is a bigger swing, but still has some traits that can translate to the NBA right away. But I will say, if they take Asar Thompson, I'm not going to be overly thrilled about it, but I will trust Troy Weaver's projection because he's going to be a projection. He's extremely like... He's kind of like a prospect, not saying that he is this guy, but like a Killian Hayes in the fact that like he has traits that you have to project to translate to the NBA because of his competition, because of he's not a finished product. So here we go. Here's the pick. Wow.
And there goes Asar Thompson. Overtime elite. So the Thompson twins go back-to-back, and Asar is officially a Detroit Piston for the moment, unless there's a deal in the works. I don't know. Justin's looking at me ominously, suspiciously.
No, I'm trying to figure out the breakdown between the G League Ignite versus Overtime Elite. Like the difference between it.
So Asar, officially a Piston. Wow. It was kind of leading itself to that if you were following Piston reporting throughout the week. It was leading to Asar, and if you want to talk about a player that has the tools athletically and has the defensive mantra, Asar's got all that. Like that will be his calling card in the NBA. Now the question will be the offensive shooting. Can he shoot the ball well from three? Can he shoot the ball well inside the arc? I mean, I think he can finish at the rim well, but the big thing for wings nowadays is the ability to shoot the ball. And if he can't shoot the basketball, then I don't really know how high his game is going to go. And I don't know what kind of player he will be for the Pistons for the long term. But
right.
If that shot develops, I mean, with his athletic profile and the defensive prowess that he has, I mean, he could really be a dynamic 3-and-D wing for a long time.
So this is something that I saw like a day and a half ago, and it really opened me up to thinking that Asar, I could see what Troy Weaver sees, and that is, did you guys know during the Overtime Elite playoffs, Asar Thompson shot, I think, 40% from three in the playoffs? So the fact that was at the final stretch of the season, people are saying his shot's getting better. It's not getting worse. It's improving. It's getting better. So with an offseason of Detroit Pistons coaching staff and trainers, Troy Weaver might see him as he can play make. He's a great cutter. He can defend. He sees the floor really well. He seems like he has a high IQ. And really the only thing that he's lacking in, he seems to be getting a lot better in and might actually see the potential of being a decent shooter. Then he becomes like probably one of the better prospects in this draft. Now it's a big if, because one thing that I heard today on Pistons Twitter, which scared me because of how accurate it is Asar Thompson is he not the Stanley Johnson pick? He literally is Stanley Johnson. What do people say about Stanley Johnson? He can defend. He's athletic. He's a smart player. What couldn't he do? Well. Shoot, right? Is he Stanley Johnson? Maybe, he's not. He's obviously not Stanley Johnson, but
well, I feel like the difference is
I think
Asar's got a bit of playmaking skills. He can pass the ball a little bit.
He does a few things that Stanley doesn't. But once again, like the Stanley Johnson career outcome is in the realm of possibilities for Asar,
it is
right?
In his range of outcomes.
And so that's the scary thing.
It's in his range of outcomes.
He just wants to get out and go join his brother in Houston.
which is what I don't believe is in the cards for Jarris Walker. I think Jarris Walker, you're safely going to say, is like probably on the same career trajectory as like B. Stu, where he might still take a few years, but for sure Stu's an NBA player for the rest of his career. You don't feel like Stu's ever going to fizzle out of the NBA, right?
Right. Well, Troy Weaver said he wanted a home run pick.
That's exactly it. He swung for the fences.
This is a swing for the fences kind of pick, and the truth of the matter is, no matter what the Pistons did in this draft, the fact that they didn't land a top 3 pick was always going to haunt them. It was always going to damn them from the start. And you are stuck with the reality of your situation. Now, you pick at 5, you better hit this pick because, quite honestly, we can't have another Stanley Johnson. We just can't.
Right.
So Asar's got to be that dude. He doesn't need to be the number 1 on this team. That's Cade. But to quote Cade Cunningham, them Thompson twins can ball, and we are hopeful that Asar not only one-ups Amen, but can one-up Scoot, Brandon Miller, maybe even Wemby. I don't know. But there's always going to be someone not picked top 1, 2, or 3 that is going to be the name of the class, and it can definitely be Asar.
I will say, I think we can all be sure.
Oh, man, I just got the next pick spoiled for me.
I already saw it. It's an interesting one.
Is it Anthony Black? Don't tell me. But I think that was the rumor.
Anthony Black.
Wow, this guy.
That was what the rumor was.
Look at that hair. Look at that hair.
It's Michael Jackson in the flesh.
Incredible.
Wow. What's weird about that pick is that they are such a guard-heavy team already. What do they got? They still got Cole Anthony. They got Markelle Fultz. They still got Jalen Suggs. You want 5 young guards? You know what I mean?
Well, who are their bigs? They got Bobo Powell. I mean, what?
Franz is a wing /
Carter.
big. I mean, yeah, but they don't have any top-end talent besides Paolo. I mean,
who would you have had them
has
take?
kind of been disappointing. Here, I would have taken Cam Whitmore. I think Paolo has shown that he can play center, and I know he may not love that. But, I mean, I think I would have taken Whitmore here because I think Whitmore brings athleticism. He brings some bounce. He brings the ability to knock down shots, right? And you put Franz at the 3, Whitmore at the 4, Paolo at the 5. You put one of those guards at the 1 and the other guard at the 2. That's a solid young core right there, right? But some people believe that Anthony Black is apparently the phrase I always hear is he's the best processor in the draft, which means high IQ, smart player. He also is a guy who can't shoot it, so that's kind of scary with Markelle Fultz. Imagine Markelle Fultz and Anthony Black as your backcourt on the floor together. Not a lot of spacing. But we'll see. I mean, I know some people really liked Anthony Black. He was kind of a polarizing player. Some people were really out on him, and some people really loved him.
It's interesting.
We'll see what happens.
There's reports that they might trade Jalen Suggs and Cole Anthony, and they do have.
And what are you going to get for that? I mean, they love Markelle. Mid prospects. I mean,
mid.
Jalen Suggs was supposed to be like a low risk player, and at this point, he's kind of like a role guy, who might be a fringe starter.
I mean, you could trade those picks and get a wing.
Are we just doing top 10?
We'll see. I mean,
I don't think we're gonna do a 3-hour. He's excited. Mr. Anthony Black is excited. Still got Jarris Walker, Cam Whitmore, Taylor Hendricks. I'm intrigued to see where the first Michigan guy goes.
Yeah, I mean, Indiana here, you got Whitmore and Walker on the board. I feel like if you're an Indiana Pacer fan, you're feeling pretty excited about that. Because I don't think they wanted Anthony Black. I don't think any of them was really screaming for Asar.
Do you think Whitmore would be the better play here if they dump Buddy Hield at some point?
I think either one's fine. They both play the 4. So it's really just, do you want the athleticism and shooting, or do you want defense, and some offensive upside? Do you want, to pair with Miles Turner, who's an athletic defensive guy, maybe. I think you can't go wrong. Whichever guy in your process that you liked better, when you were interviewing them, when you were scouting them, whichever of the two that you felt the better about. But I like both of those for them.
I see the next pick.
From what it seems like it's neither. From your reaction, it almost seems like maybe Taylor Hendricks possibly.
I actually know what happens here. It's crazy.
What do you think happens?
Well, I got it spoiled for me.
Was it a trade?
It's making me regret not betting on it because I looked at it this morning and I wanted to bet it, and then I just kind of was like, I'll just bet on the Pistons.
Well, that
pick.
tells me that it's a shocking pick.
It's not shocking, but it wasn't
Here
expected.
comes the Pacers.
Here we go. Wow.
Mr. Koulibaly.
And there are...
Wasn't he the teammate of Victor?
He was the teammate of Victor, and there are reports that he is getting traded to the Washington Wizards.
At 8? Are they swapping picks?
Indiana is selecting Jarris Walker at number 8 via Wizards in the 7-for-8 flip.
Breaking news.
Washington also sends 2 second-round picks to the Pacers for moving up for Koulibaly.
That's it? 2 second-round picks to move up 1 spot in the draft? I feel like that's a steal. I mean, who are you afraid of taking Koulibaly? I mean, you swapped with the team that you traded with. So
it's not like Victor's coming with him.
Well, no, you traded. You just swapped with the team that it's like. Did you feel like the Pacers were going to take Koulibaly? Because if not, then you had him, right? Like, all you had to do is get past the Pacers, unless you really felt like the Pacers.
Well, maybe there was another team that could trade up for him. I mean, you just give yourself assurance. I mean, second-round picks really are 50 cents on the dollar.
Yeah,
like
nowadays,
you just flip them for nothing.
It's worth. Yeah.
No, that's what I'm saying. Is like that was a. I mean, what I'm saying is like it really wasn't necessary to move up, but I guess if it only cost 2 seconds.
Well, with that breakdown, people really Whitmore is sliding, and they talked about this today. Could we see Whitmore slide past 10? You think the Jazz or the Mavericks take him?
I think he goes here in the next couple picks.
I could see him going to the Jazz.
So, let's see. What was the read up on Koulibaly here? He's an outstanding leaper who puts on multiple 30-point games in France. 35% three-point shooter. He won't turn 19 until after the draft. Yeah, I mean,
you're taking a risk. I mean, this is a swing for the fences kind of player.
I feel like all these are.
Well, that's what you have to do. See, this is what I like about teams like the Wizards, like the Pistons even, and I'll even shout the Rockets too. You're taking guys that are high risk, high reward. Like they're not all going to pan out, but it's better than taking the safe player when you don't really have a ton of success.
Well, when you're Washington, and at this point, you have committed to a rebuild, you need to do the Troy Weaver swing for the fences. Because guess what? If you hit on Jarris Walker, like he's probably a little better than Isaiah Stewart. And does that really move the needle that significantly in your rebuild? So if you hit on Koulibaly, you might have found yourself the next Giannis, right? And so,
crazy.
Koulibaly
ends up being better than Victor.
But if Koulibaly doesn't work out, I mean, it sets you back 1 year, maybe. And, it's not the end of the world, right?
The Wizards are going to be bad.
So,
whether or not Koulibaly hits, they're going to be bad next year. And they're going to be bad the year after.
What I read today was that apparently teams have been scared of Cam Whitmore's medicals, so maybe that played a factor. So once again, if Hendricks and Walker were the 2 players you were looking at, those are both guys that aren't really like superstar upside. Those are both like solid starters. And so Washington went for the home run because maybe the medicals of Whitmore didn't work, didn't excite them. And Walker and Hendricks just isn't the big swing that they wanted. So they went and got their big swing. We'll see what happens. We already know Jarris Walker is going to be the next pick here, so we can kind of just,
the trade was announced.
Through that.
It's basically Jarris Walker for Koulibaly in 2 seconds.
Walker on the Pacers.
I like it. I mean, that's going to be some great defense. Good luck getting to the rim against Jarris Walker and Miles Turner.
Yeah, if that team doesn't, trade.
And you got
Mathurin
and Halliburton, like.
And
it could be a good team.
They also got Buddy Hield.
They got Buddy Hield. That's a great lineup right there.
Yeah, I mean the team
you got
is
the
solid.
Shooting,
They should be able to compete for a plan.
You got the playmaking, you got the defense. I mean, I think the Pacers are probably going to be competing with teams like the Pistons for play-in competition throughout the season. It's which of those young teams kind of comes out on top.
I mean, the Pacers, to me, look like a better team than the Bulls. Bulls are in the play-in.
I think so. I agree. They're more complete team.
You tell me the Pacers aren't on par with the Hawks?
Oh, absolutely.
I mean, I think so.
I think the Hawks are not good, honestly. It's tough because you see like the guys they have on their team, and it's like Collins isn't playing like he was. Capella's like hanging on just because of he's just a big dude. But I mean, Murray, I don't get the point of that trade. When they traded for Murray from San Antonio, I never got that trade. I thought that was a dumb trade.
That was, to me...
It was weird.
To me, that was Trae Young going to management, being like, you guys got to do something or I'm forcing my way out. And they shopped around with their package, and they took what the best star they could get with the package they could offer.
And there's Jarris Walker. He's walking up to the podium now.
He will be a Pacer.
Yep, he'll be a Pacer, which is interesting, but I think it's a good fit. I don't know if he starts right away, but I think it's a good fit for him and for the Pacers, too. I think they needed somebody like this. And there's rumors that Miles Turner could be on the move. I mean, it always feels like there's Miles Turner trade rumors.
Hill, there's always rumors around them,
right,
too.
But, I mean, if they do trade Miles Turner, this would be a nice defensive anchor. He's not a 5, but I think when the postseason comes around and teams go small, I think you could see a lot of small ball lineups with Jarris playing the 5, kind of like the small ball 5. He's got a lot of potential in terms of, I think, as a team contributor, but as an individual player, I don't know how high the ceiling is, but I think he's got a ton of potential in helping a team win games. So he's going to be interesting, and I think it's a good fit with Indiana. Now we're on to Utah. If they keep this pick here, I mean, Utah last summer was just wheeling and dealing. Now we don't know what's going to happen at 9 here, but
so I'll poke my nose in here. This was a spot here that the Pistons were rumored to possibly, if they are to move up, was possibly here, because Utah is a team that really didn't seem like they were excited about picking. Actually, the next 2 picks, Utah and Dallas, both seemed like teams that they were extremely open to moving down. Now, I don't think Utah would be all that interested in a Bojan return, and I think that's probably at this point 31 and Bojan is probably your package. So that seems to entice more of a team like Dallas. But, yeah, I mean, I kind of have a feeling Utah might trade this pick because what is what's his name?
Danny Ainge?
Yeah. What does Danny Ainge love doing? Like, trading is like Danny Ainge's like favorite thing. Even if it's just to mix things up and do a lateral trade, he just loves switching things up. So he might be itching to pick up the phone here and
he might be.
Yeah.
I mean, if you're the Pistons, right? You have Bogey. I don't think you can keep on to Bogdanovich.
I mean,
Bojan Bogdanovic.
I would say at this point,
wrong bogey.
At this point, I'd be targeting Hendricks because Hendricks is a nice shooter. He's a 3-and-D right there. To me, he's a Bojan replacement, right? He's a younger Bojan, possibly
Get him
with
in
better
here.
defense.
Let's go.
So
let's make the deal.
Why not? Yeah, let's do it. Jarris Walker, though, that's interesting. Can we just talk for 10 seconds about how ridiculous it is that guys have to wear hats of the teams that they're not playing for? I absolutely hate that.
If there's a trade, let them get the pictures.
That Kobe has a picture, like, is up on stage in Hornets gear.
It's so dumb.
And Jalen Duren is up there in Hornets gear.
Like, that's your moment, and you're like, it's not...
Right, that's going to be your photograph of being drafted for your whole life, and you're not in the uniform that you're even going to play in for 1 second. And so to me it's like, why don't we change the rules?
Get them the
why don't we change the rules
please.
To where, like, we can do like the NFL, you can trade during the draft and swap picks? Like, why is that a big deal? I've never understood why that's a problem.
Or at least if they know that after the fact, be like, when they're coming down the stage, give him the hat.
Like Sadiq Bey had to wear a Brooklyn Nets hat, and then it's like, what was it, one of his family members? Well, he ripped it off and threw a Piston hat on, even though he really wasn't supposed to.
Exactly.
You know? Like, just...
Shout out the fam.
This is crazy. this pick here because Cam Whitmore is falling like Jalen Carter was or Nakobe Dean was. This guy was projected to maybe go 4, and now we're at pick number 9.
Imagine if he somehow slips to OKC. Imagine if somehow OKC, because who has the patience to sit on Whitmore's medical problems and make
The
sure
Thunder.
he's 110%. The Thunder are the world's slowest rebuild.
It wouldn't shock me if he got to 12 and just the Thunder like Cam Whitmore.
It wouldn't be shocked if he.
I wouldn't be
Awesome.
shocked if he went to at 11 to the Magic.
I wouldn't be shocked if he slips one more pick and OKC just, with their bajillion picks, just swaps, does something and swaps with 10 to 12 and goes up and gets Whitmore. I wouldn't be shocked.
Do those picks for OKC come into play because they only have pick number 12 and then they don't pick again until 50.
I think it's next year.
It's next year when they're all their picks.
I
they'll
think
have,
next
7
year
picks.
they have 4 first-round picks.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I think the year after they have 3.
It's tough that they're going to get hit with all the bad drafts.
Well, they can trade back. I mean, teams are desperate.
Trade those picks for more picks down
Right.
the road. I
Trade them for 20, 30
that's the thing
picks.
is,
You could trade all 4
can-
first and get.
you're always going to get more value moving back. You could trade back out of the first. They could trade out of the first round completely and probably get 2 future firsts for whatever first they trade away next year, and they'll still have 2 more first round picks. So
Utah Jazz, this is a Grady moment.
honestly, Danny Ainge does seem the type that
He'd get
he
Grady.
feels like he likes himself some Grady dick.
I really hope they don't go Grady here.
Why are you a Grady guy?
I'm not really a Grady guy. I just
He hates Kansas.
I do hate Kansas,
Okay.
but
I love Kansas.
I don't. I just want to see Utah get someone that. I mean, I guess Grady would
What
be kind of fun
about,
to hate in Utah.
they're
I don't
still-
know.
they're still
I
in
just
their,
don't want
like,
to see him
weird-
in Utah. I feel like he'd be too good in Utah.
They're in like a weird, we're not. We thought we were rebuilding, but we kind of got something here, but we don't know what to do right now.
This kind of if Utah keeps this pick, it kind of feels like a Derek Lively pick to me. Because Derek Lively, they're kind of comparing him to Jalen Duren. They're saying he's an athletic
So they
freak.
want him and Markkanen.
Yeah, I mean, you don't.
Why not?
You got Walker Kessler too, right?
Yeah, the 3 of
So maybe you feel like Walker Kessler or Derek Lively can develop a shot. But
Laurie
yeah,
Markkanen's out
this
there
is
in
a
the
weird
war
pick.
trenches.
We're past the. I mean, honestly, now that I'm kind of thinking about it, I don't think Asar was as much of a reach as we thought because, or at least what I thought.
The
Because
way
we're
things
already,
are going.
we're already at pick 9, and I kind of am not really that excited anymore. Whitmore and Hendricks are there, but once again, we don't know the medicals of Whitmore, so that might be why he's falling. And Hendricks is a 3-and-D, but he's probably not going to be a superstar, right? He's just going to be, a guy who spots up and plays some defense for you. And we're only 8 picks in, right? And so, Asar Thompson, I'm coming around to it. I will say I am excited to see what him, Ivy, and Cade can do because, that's going to be
There it
fun
is.
with Monty Williams. With Monty Williams, that's going to be fun. I mean, we haven't. Last time we talked, we didn't even have a head coach. I mean, we got Monty Williams. How do we feel about that? Since we're kind of waiting for
We
commercials.
really gave him a lot.
Yeah, I mean, we gave him a lot of money, but he's worth it.
Don't count the cap. Doesn't
We
count
need
against
it.
the cap.
We
Who cares?
we need a logical
Yeah.
coach.
I love that with Cade and Ivy. I think that in Duren, Monty Williams is just the perfect coach. I just even before moments after Monty Williams got let go, I was like, man, I don't think it's gonna happen, but man, if we could get Monty Williams, that's such a perfect coach for us. Here we go, Utah's pick.
I saw it.
I did too.
Are you guys just forcing? Oh, okay.
Taylor Hendricks to Utah.
Interesting.
Interesting. Are we keeping it? Are they keeping it? That's the question.
It sounds like they are. Taylor Hendricks, there was some noise that the Pistons might be looking at him at number 5. He's a really interesting player. Super long, super lanky, can shoot the ball, play some good defense. He really is the epitome of a 3-and-D guy. Now, Utah's got a lot of pieces to work with. I mean, they have a ton of draft picks from the Rudy Gobert and the Donovan Mitchell trade. They have Lauri Markkanen. They have Colin Sexton, right? I mean, they got guys. They got Walker Kessler, the big man from Auburn. I mean, they got...
Still got Clarkson.
Yep, they got Jordan Clarkson. I mean, they got guys. So Taylor Hendricks, I think, is their nice 3-player. He's going to fit in perfectly. And we would have no idea what Amen or Anthony Black or Cam Whitmore, Taylor Hendricks, Jarace Walker, Koulibaly. Like, we have no idea what any of these guys are going to be.
That's true.
Except for Jarace. I feel like we have a pretty good idea about what Jarace will be. But kind of like Weaver said, I mean, Jarace was a bunt single almost. Like a slap to center
single?
field. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see what happens. We're going up to pick, not 10, going to pick 14.
So a little bit of Pistons update. It's not really anything exciting, but James Edwards does say on Twitter, and he has a pretty good pulse on the team. He said, it's obviously still very early and anything can happen, but I'm not getting any sense that Detroit will trade back into the lottery. You never know, but that's what I'm hearing as of now. He tweeted that about 10 minutes ago.
I don't think it's not worth it to trade at this point to me. Unless there's someone that's crazy under your radar. But obviously, you have the guys that are the hidden gems in the draft, and you'll find those. They'll pop out eventually. But
even if they don't trade back into the lottery, that doesn't mean that they can't make a deal that gets
he
them.
didn't necessarily mean think
exactly.
that he's going to sit on their hands. I think he just was saying, as of right now, there's no one on the board that's falling that they're getting so incredibly impatient about that they just got to jump up and get. But I'm sure they got some guys in the 15 to 25 range that they're really liking, and if they feel like they'll slip to them at 31, they'll sit. And if there's a couple guys that they just feel way too good about that's going to go, then they might jump up a few spots and go get them,
Exactly.
the world may never know. Woj bombs?
Here you go. Ew. Wow. That is quite a Oklahoma City deal. Davis Bertans, who has one of the biggest net negative contracts in the NBA, meaning he's nowhere close to brings the value of what his contract offers. He's making $22 million a year, and he's a fringe bench player. And to clear off salary cap, Dallas moves back 2 spots to Oklahoma City. Oklahoma City takes Bertans' contract to move up 2 spots, and that's such an Oklahoma City thing to do. That's what they've been doing with Horford, with Chris Paul. They take on a net negative contract for assets, and I mean
that's interesting though because
it's smart
2
because
spots to take on $22 million in cap space.
Are they going to be players in free agency? I mean, this free agency is trash. Bertans has 1 year left.
It's not. Yeah, no, it's an expiring.
And they're not trying to win a championship this year.
Yeah, no. I mean, it makes sense, but I don't know. At the same time, like, maybe I try to get a little bit more from taking on $22 million just to move up 2 spots. I don't know if that's enough to.
I feel like it's a pretty fair trade, but here we go. So this pick
maybe I'm getting greedy.
This pick is for
Oklahoma City.
But it's being made by Dallas.
Yep.
Interesting.
Wait a minute. How does he announce certain trades and doesn't announce other ones? He didn't announce the Washington one.
Well, there it is.
Oh my gosh. He announced the Pacers and Washington trade
later.
5 picks later.
That's what they have to do. It's so stupid.
I know, this
in the
is so
NFL, it's like
cringe.
that, and you're like,
this is so
That's
cringe.
why the NBA. It's just.
All right. Here we go. Here's the pick.
I'll see if you guys like it or not.
Cason Wallace.
The point guard out of Kentucky.
I liked what I saw about him when I watched Kentucky play. Really creative, really good playmaker. He's got a lot of potential. It's an interesting fit next to Shea.
Slot.
I feel like not a lot
He's
of.
gonna be a backup slot though.
A backup slot?
Yeah, that's what he's gonna be.
He's gonna say he's not playing over
him and Giddey.
He's not playing over Giddey or Shea. So yeah, you drafted a backup point guard. I mean,
he could start. I mean, Shea's more of a 2. and Giddy's more of a 3.
Nah, I can't agree with you
No,
there.
you're capping.
That's why it's backwards.
Shea is kind of a 2.
I know, but they're not. Shay's the best guy in the team. He's not gonna.
So
Shea and
Wallace
Giddey
can't.
are both
So Wallace can't start.
Lead guards.
So Wallace can't start
Why would you start him?
No. They don't have
for
this.
a true playmaker out of the point guard position.
You don't want to play too small.
That's how desperate they are.
Defensively, you're going to give up too much if you start playing 3 guards.
Didn't know you're a big Case and Wallace fan.
Just don't be surprised if he starts. I'll be the one laughing then.
It's not.
Yeah, because he's gonna definitely carry the OKC.
I'll be the one
Thunder to
laughing then.
nowhere.
I'll be the one laughing then.
He's going to take them all the way to the
not even-
11 seed.
Yeah,
not
he
even an
starts it
OKC
up like
guy.
he's like, I knew it. But it's only because Chet starts playing crazy good.
So the read up on Case and Wallace.
Yeah, I'll read it.
Confidence in Wallace's NBA upside started to waver throughout the season, mostly due to his single-digit scoring outputs that raised questions about his athletic limitations for creation at the NBA level. The Kansas State game on Sunday should have served as a reminder that he possesses the type of shot-making, touch shots, footwork, and finishing craft to compensate for the lack of exciting burst and explosiveness.
Average
Yeah.
11, 3, and 4 in the season.
Yeah. He's definitely seems to me like
He will start.
like they're hoping he's a high-end
He
backup
will
point
start.
guard.
He will start at some point. I guarantee you.
Yeah, when Shay's hurt, or it's a
Who else did they take?
Load
They
management.
took the guy from Florida, the guard, Trey Mann, right?
Oh yeah,
Like they didn't they take him in the teens?
What about Trey Mann? They
So-
traded up and took on salary for Case and Wallace. You think he's going to be a bench player? He will start. He will start at some point.
You're crazy. Yeah, he will exactly. So you can't say at some
They
point.
traded up and
Why is
took
he
on
getting-
salary to get
Why
this
is he
guy.
planting his flag so deep in Case and Wallace?
Case and Wallace, I'm planting my flag. He will be a
feel like
starting
because
It's
it's
player.
just
Dra-
like Tyrese Maxey
I
getting
feel like
drafted.
because it's draft night, Evan's just feeling like
He will start for the
getting
Oklahoma City
into
Thunder.
some feisty
Clip
arguments. Yeah.
Clip that
Come
for
back.
I'll be
later.
the one. I'll be laughing so hard.
Clip that, and we'll see you in October.
And we're all laughing right now. He's saying this.
That's fine. He's going to be a very good player.
Let's see any updates.
We're not denying
on,
that.
What the Pistons are up to.
Oh my goodness!
Did you get this next one spoiled?
Oh, this is such a bad pick.
Because the Magic are
This
on the
is
clock
such a bad
now.
pick. Oh my gosh, this is such a bad pick.
The Magic don't need to be making bad picks right
Oh.
now.
You know, I'm normally the one who always gets spoiled on draft night. I haven't gone a single pick of being spoiled.
I'm choosing to be spoiled, aside from the Pistons.
Oh, this is such a bad pick.
If it was a more hyped draft, I'd be like, okay. I mean,
So the thing is, like, I know we're kind of trashing on this draft because after the top 3, there's no Jaden Ivies or anything, but there's gonna be probably at least 2 guys between pick 4 and 20
your heroes
that
and
end
your
up hitting
Kuzmas.
that end up becoming all-stars. So I think Asar Thompson has some boom potential. Once again, I think Stanley Johnson's also in play for his outcomes.
Big bust potential, though, too.
But you know,
For sure.
once again, like I just love that quote. He's not slapping one into center field to hit a first to hit a a double or single. You know, he's going for the fences. He's swinging for the fences.
I just saw it.
Is it Grady? It's Grady.
It's so bad.
isn't it?
It's so bad.
I don't know how it's going to work out. Clearly, there's going to be some movement in the works, I think.
It's so bad.
It's
This
early.
is the worst pick
I'm feeling
I've ever seen.
honestly as the trash is coming off the board. I'm feeling better about Asar Thompson. I just am. I'm not feeling okay. I'm not trying to act like I'm an Asar Thompson stan because I hate people.
Confirmation
Asar
bias. You see it
Thompson
enough
stan.
times.
Oh, here we
it
go.
becomes,
Oh, that was just a recap from the Vooch trade from years ago. Here we go. Here's
You're
the
gonna love this
Magic
pick. I want to hear your thoughts.
Is it Jet?
Ah!
Did I not say that literally right before he said it?
What are your thoughts on the Magic taking Jet Howard at 11?
It's a terrible pick.
Another guard?
Jet Howard is
How many guards do you need?
Who'd they take? They love Michigan. You know Orlando is like
Yeah.
the Michigan.
They have both Wagner brothers.
They got Wagner. Yeah, they got both the Wagners.
Yep. And then they took Caleb Houston.
They took Caleb Houston. Didn't they draft what's his name?
Xavier Simpson on their team a couple of years ago.
Didn't they draft?
They also had Derek Walton on their team.
Wasn't his name Iggy?
No, he went to
Iggy
Brazdakis.
Okay, but he went.
But he ended up playing.
He ended up playing there.
I don't like this pick at all.
Magic love Michigan for some reason.
Who did they draft? Oh wait, no, they did. Is this their first pick? Yeah.
Yeah, they have Anthony Black. They've taken 2 guards in this draft.
So that means they got to be dumping Suggs and Anthony.
They have to be feeling like there's going to make a move at some point because they can't keep like 6 guards on a roster.
You
only have 15 roster spots. You can't have half of them be point guards.
I was like, bring Fultz to the Wizards.
I mean, if they want to trade him, go ahead. But Jets, odd. Michigan was better without him.
I will say about like
it makes no sense why.
I will say I always try to play a little bit of devil's advocate. Doesn't mean I agree with it. I will say you are getting to the point in the draft where you are kind of taking. Like, you can either take the role player, the guaranteed role player, or you can take a swing. Jet Howard was a disappointment at Michigan. We can all agree he did not live up to the bill. However, coming into Michigan, he was one of the most highly touted prospects in the country. So maybe the Magic feel like they can get something out of him that Michigan couldn't, right? That's just, I don't agree with it. I'm just trying to play devil's advocate. They're at the point in the draft where they feel like it's a swing.
It is a swing. I mean, I think he stinks. I mean, Michigan didn't make the tournament, and Jet was a big
Caleb
reason
Houston
why.
and Mo Wagner, and they can almost put together a starting 5 of Michigan.
They could one more.
Caleb Houston.
Just get a point guard in there.
Caleb Houston, Jet Howard, both the Wagner brothers. You can just sign back Iggy, play him at the 3.
Trade up for Kobe Buffkin.
There you go.
I think Kobe Buffkin
they don't have to trade up. They got another pick. They got back-to-back picks here. They're up again. So you can go.
Oh, they just grab everyone in Michigan? So they traded to the Thunder?
Oh, no, I'm sorry. I saw OKC and Orlando.
Spoiler! Look at this guy. Man. Okay, Shams.
No, they don't have another pick.
Tyler Shams in the flesh.
I got OKC.
That's crazy. I think Kobe Buffkin's a much better basketball player than Jet Howard. I'm shocked he's got taken here at 11. I don't know.
See.
Yep, that's true.
I could see Grady Dick going here next.
Can't read that tweet on air.
I think out of the rest of the lotto, if Grady Dick goes, he'd go to OKC.
Well, at this point, you're starting to get to the point where the home run swings are like a little more deeper home runs. They're a lot tougher to hit on. So you're starting to get to the point where you're gonna start seeing those role players go off the board. We haven't even talked about Cam Whitmore hasn't been drafted yet.
Here's your time. You said it could slide to OKC.
There was discussion that the Pistons should take him at 5. Here we are at pick 12.
The medicals must be really bad.
There must be some medical problems.
But you said at 12 the Thunder could take him.
I think that they definitely should consider it because they have the patience. I mean, they just took on Bertan's contract. That's them telling the NBA right now,
who cares?
We aren't trying to be anything special this year, you know?
Again.
I mean, they have such a good core. I mean, they got Giddey, they got Shea.
If Chet can Chet.
They got Chet. I forgot about Chet.
I know.
They got why am I forgetting his name? The wing that they just drafted. That
Jalen Williams.
Yep, he's like a rising star in the league.
I don't know why people hype up Poku, but
he's something special.
Who else am I thinking about?
Name.
Dort. Is it Dort?
Yeah, Lou Dort's
not
bad,
Dort's solid. I mean, like that's a solid starting 5. You got Shea,
they're gritty.
Giddey, Shea, Giddey,
Dort, Chet,
Chet, and
Jalen Williams.
Yep. That's a fantastic starting 5. I would love that if I was a OKC fan. And you got Kalen Wallace to start as well, right?
Yes.
Kaysen
Wallace. Man, he's
going to start. Him, Giddy, Shea.
Yeah, start casing at the
So who
5.
are you sitting?
Chet.
Are you sitting Jalen Williams? Or are you sitting Chet? Or are you
No,
sitting
Chet starts.
Dort?
Dort sits. He's coming off.
Dort's
the
a
bench.
4. So what are you playing? Kaysen at the 4?
Jalen Williams has some size.
Or do you both? If you have,
Jalen Williams
if you have Burton's going to be the 5.
And Chet will be the 5.
You in this
I
Kaysen?
feel like Chet should play 4.
He's 7'2". I mean, he could play the.
We've talked-
Benyama wants to play 4.
We've talked way
It
too
won't
much
happen.
about Kaysen Wallace in this podcast. We're talking more.
You guys
We've talking more Kaysen Wallace
slandered
than
him immediately. You didn't give him a chance.
I didn't know you were going to get his jersey and hop on the bandwagon.
I just said more Kaysen
I just said
Wallace.
that's a nice fit next to Shea and Giddy because
We've talked-
he offers something different.
We've talked more Kaysen Wallace than we have Asar Thompson. I mean, we've talked more Kaysen
I've
Wallace
seen
than we have
Kaysen
Victor
Wallace.
Wembanyama.
That's
I've
why
seen-
Evan likes him.
I've seen more Kaysen than Wemby, and I think Kaysen's a good point guard. I think that's a really nice pick by Oklahoma City.
I don't disagree with the pick. I just don't think he starts over Shea and Giddy. That just doesn't happen.
He's not starting over him. He's starting with them.
He shouldn't start with them. You're not going to put Giddy at the 3.
Why not?
We're done talking
That doesn't
about
make
this.
sense.
Why
This
not?
is crazy.
It doesn't make any sense at all.
Just start Kaysen at the 5 and call it good.
Evan's like, he's got the grit.
He's got the
How tall
ability.
is he?
He's gonna take. He's gonna
He's
overtake.
6'3", so he's not short.
He'll give Chet
6'3",
He'll give
195.
Chet some buckets in practice.
Yeah.
He takes Giddy's starting role week 2, and Evan's like,
He's got the Kaysen Wallace jersey on
Giddy's
ready.
tall. Giddy's like 6'7". Isn't Shea like 6'5"?
no way. Is Giddy really 6'7"?
I
Yeah,
thought he
he's
was,
big.
I thought he was tall.
Really?
He's really tall.
And you think I'm crazy?
I didn't know he was that
He
tall.
is really tall. I think he's like about
I
as
thought
tall
he
as
was
Cade.
like 6'4".
He has, like, the
Shea was
size-
like 6'3".
He's like the same size as Cade.
Josh Giddey is 6'8".
Oh my goodness.
He's huge. He definitely could play the 3, but he's a ball handler, so they
Evan's
play him
like,
at guard.
Wait, hold up there.
Talk to me nice.
No, they're not gonna because they have Lou Dort and
Talk to me nice.
Shea is 6'6". Talk to me nice. This team is big.
And then Wallace is 6'3".
Right, he can be the distributor.
you have Jalen Williams and you have Lou Dort.
How tall is Jalen
and
Williams?
you have Chet Holmgren.
That's the
We're about to get the height on all the Thunder players. They got 2 Jalen Williams, so I think.
Oh yeah, they have Jalen with a Y and Jalen.
I hope you
with
cut
an
out all
L.
this Kaysen Wallace
That
stuff.
makes it funnier though.
Jalen Williams is 6'9", and then Jalen Williams, Jalen, is 6'5". But Jalen with a Y is 6'9".
All these commercial breaks are bothering me.
Do we got any sleepers left available that we're trying to talk about? I mean, are you guys a Keontae George fan, a Grady Dick fan?
I don't think Dick's a sleeper.
I know Jordan
think-
Hawkins
I
is a
think
guy.
Jordan
a lot of people
Hawkins is
like,
my
right?
guy. I would love to see
You
him
gotta
go
turn
to
the
a
hat
team.
back around so everybody knows.
Yep.
His ball's up there.
I got the
that
Husky hat
I
on.
gifted him in,
I would
in
love
studio.
if the Pistons got Jordan Hawkins.
To
I
me-
would. Oh, I'd be so happy.
Another sleep. I don't think he's a sleeper, but I don't think he's gonna go first round. Sonogo.
Yeah, Damas Sanogo.
I think that's just a great. I think he's just a great big body who just plays his position well. And he's good
Isn't,
defensively and
UConn
offensively.
lost everyone.
They did, but they got that like 7'4" guy.
yeah,
who's
they'll
good.
they'll reload.
Keontae from Kansas State. Keontae,
The Thunder pick is here, and I honestly like it.
is it Kaysen Wallace?
So he'll be going to the Mavericks.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
Oh, okay, they're trading him.
Oh, so they got rid of Burton's, and then he'll be going to the Mavs for cheap. So
And
they have him,
they
Luka,
needed some
Kyrie.
size.
They did, yeah. Him, Luka, Kyrie. They still have Hardaway on the Mavs.
Yep.
That's insane.
They needed some size. Derek Lively brings that big center from Duke. That's a nice pick
Do they
for them.
still have Christian Wood?
No, he's in Houston, right? Oh no, wait, no.
He's in Dallas, but I think he's a free agent. I believe he's an
I think
unrestricted
you're
free
right,
agent.
Yeah, I think they were trying to dump him.
I know that experiment did not work, so I'm guessing this is a Christian Wood replacement.
Probably.
In terms of, so you were talking about Keontae Johnson from Kansas State.
I think that's a nice second round pick. I think a lot of that's a sleeper for me in the second round. I was a big fan of watching him in March Madness.
A name that was getting some traction was Olivier Maxence Prosper from Marquette, 6'7" forward. He was getting some buzz late in the draft process, so I feel like we could see him go within the top, 25 picks or so. I think he'll be someone that we keep an eye on.
I'm surprised.
Watch him in Summer League, I'd say.
I'm surprised Kobe Buffkin is still available. I feel like from what I heard, he was climbing up boards there in the last week or so.
Well, we got 2 more lotto picks, so there's 2 more opportunities for Michigan to have 2 players taken in the lotto and not make the tournament.
I know the Magic are just killing themselves right now that they don't have an opportunity to take another Michigan man.
Don't be surprised if they trade up for someone here. I'm not reporting that.
Who, the Magic?
Yeah, don't be surprised if they trade up for Buffkin.
Buffkin
your Orlando Magic reporter contacts weren't available tonight?
Not tonight.
Van Fleet chatter. Buffkin could go to the Raptors.
I think Toronto is really on the cusp of blowing it up. There's these Pascal Siakam rumors that have been going on for over a year. OG Anunoby rumors that have been going over a year. Fred VanVleet rumors have been going on for over a year. It really feels like Toronto is right on the cusp of blowing this whole thing up and building around Scotty Barnes, which I'm not really a big Scotty Barnes fan.
Because the big thing was, when they traded Marcus Powell, right? Am I right?
Norman Powell.
Norman
to the Clippers. That was kind of like your start. Okay, maybe they're going to start changing things up, but
they brought in Trent.
Gary Trent Jr.
Gary Trent Jr.
And I thought that was a great grab.
That was a great pickup.
Yep.
And he was re-staying because he's like, I'm going to show you
as the things right
up.
now, they're really expensive and they're just not that great of a team. And so, Ime Udoka.
Houston.
Masai Ujiri?
Yeah. Ujiri. He's probably getting impatient because I know he's considered one of the better GMs in the league, and I'm sure plenty of teams that have a lot more assets are willing to give him the bag. So I don't know. I mean, I think if you're Toronto, because you're in that situation, you don't consider your roster at all with this pick. You take who you think the best player is, and you don't even consider anything on your roster because you don't even know if those guys are going to be there in the next year. For all we know, Toronto's already taking calls on these guys.
I agree. So, and the weird thing about Toronto is they hired their coach late in the in the coaching cycle, I guess you can call it. Like, I forget who they hired because that last name was so long and I didn't really know how to pronounce it. But it's tough to see what direction Toronto's taking because while I do agree it would probably be beneficial for them to blow it up, it doesn't feel like they're going to. And the coach they hired is, to me, a guy that maybe you hire to coach a young team, a team that's on the up and coming. And Toronto's just not that. I mean, they have a really nice piece in Scotty Barnes and OG Anunoby, but they're going to lose Fred VanVleet. Pascal Siakam has 1 year left on his deal. He's not going to resign. So I don't really know where they go from here. I don't. So Grady Dick, number 13 to the Pacers.
Officially.
To the Raptors.
To the Raptors.
Almost said the Pacers. I had Pacers on my mind. So Grady Dick to the Raptors. They needed shooting. J.J. Redick was just talking about it. They were horrible at shooting last year, 28th in the league from 3. Grady comes in and immediately fixes that. He's a really good shooter. He's a solid athlete, too. No one gives him credit for that. He's actually a pretty good athlete. This is I'm not going to say a perfect pick, but I think it's a good pick. I think the big concern is point guard, but you get Grady Dick, he's going to come in, he's going to shoot. I think he's a fine piece. He's a fine piece for the Raptors.
He's going to be like, yo, Drake, where you at?
I think the rumor was that he was falling in the draft because of the suit that he was wearing. It really pushed away general managers, and He's
wearing the Raptors red, baby. He was calling him home.
No place like home.
He looks like a dinosaur.
I think he said that. I think they just asked him about it. I think he said it was like inspired by the red shoes that that
Dorothy
Dorothy wore in
in
The
The
Wizard of
Oz.
Oz.
There we go.
I didn't catch all of it, but
He's wearing shoulder pads though, and then his waist is like 2 inches, and it's like, what are
Yeah.
you wearing?
Well, you know,
dude?
the suit, I like the red ruby suit, but I don't know if the shoulder pads, the way it looks, I don't know if it came out that great. But I like the idea. I like what he went for. I like the effort.
it was bad.
It was courageous.
Let's see, what is Woj saying? Wojnarowski is talking a little bit of Zion, just saying that from everything he heard, Zion was never actually offered in any trades.
I felt like this draft was going to be a little bit more exciting, a little bit more entertaining. It is. It's been pretty mild so far. I mean, maybe we get
I think
something.
I think it's gonna be good. Keep going down.
What, you said the offseason?
No, the draft.
It's been pretty mild so far. Nothing crazy. No blockbuster deal like while we're watching it.
Oh
Right.
yeah,
And this is the last pick we're going to cover.
That's
So
the last pick of the lotto at 14 with the Pelicans.
So what
What are they gonna add?
I just accidentally saw the Pelicans pick.
Oh, the last one. He's
Wow.
spoiled for himself.
First spoiler.
Oh, we'll have to wait. Maybe don't let Evan get spoiled on this one.
I mean, who knows what it's going to be?
think
Does it
I've-
even matter? Like,
Yeah, I mean,
does it even matter?
I think you guys are gonna like the pick.
Is it someone I like?
That's Casey Wallace.
Is it Jordan Hawkins? It better not be Jordan Hawkins.
Casey Wallace might have been moved in this trade? No, I'm just kidding.
Casey Wallace is going to be good.
I don't.
He's actually going to Detroit
Oh
for
man,
Cade
I just
Cunningham.
spoiled it for myself too.
He's actually being dealt to Detroit for Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, and Jalen Duren for Casey
I
Wallace.
would cry.
And rumor has
I'd
it
be
that
like,
that was
give
a
me a jersey.
steal for Oklahoma City.
Let's see what's happening. I bet you Nick's so excited at 15 for the nobody. He's
So
gonna get.
if we're finishing off the lottery here, then this is the last pick.
Yeah.
So
I guess it's a perfect one to end on.
way to just pretty much tell him what it is.
I think I know who it is. There's only 2 people it could be in my
I don't like
mind.
the Pelicans, man. This franchise stinks, and they just got the best player in the draft. Not really.
He's just trying to throw me off.
He's just trying. No, he's just trying to one up his Case and Wallace flag plant.
They got the second best player in the draft.
Oklahoma City got the best player in this draft.
No. This
K-Dub.
upsetting. This is upsetting.
K Dub.
I still don't see it yet, so clearly ESPN just doing their thing. I hope I see it. I see it. I am so sorry.
As we're closing out the lottery here, Cam Whitmore is still there, and at some point, I mean, this happened
You
during.
mean he's not going to the Pelicans?
This did
No.
happen. I don't know if you guys recall. This happened with the Bowl draft. Bowl was projected a top
Like,
5 to
yeah.
7 pick, and he slipped all the way to the second round because of medical concerns. And I haven't really seen the medical concerns play out in his career. He hasn't really had any long-term injuries, but I think just there were some.
He had like an ankle injury like of his first couple months in the league, but he got over it.
Because he was dealt to the Pistons, and the Pistons failed him in his physical. So, I mean, maybe the Pistons snag him at 31. Maybe if he falls far enough.
And Evan's new team is now picking. The Pelicans take
like the Pelicans.
Jordan Hawkins, man.
They got such a good player. That is such a good player.
He would have been sweet in Atlanta. Would you have wanted him on the Lakers at 17?
Anywhere but. I mean, we'll go down the list. I didn't want him in Toronto. I didn't want him in New Orleans. Didn't want him in Atlanta. Didn't want him in Utah. Lakers, Miami, Golden State, that would have been cool. Didn't want him in Houston. Brooklyn would have been cool. No thank you in Portland. Sacramento would have been cool. No thank you in Memphis.
He seems
Indiana, meh. Charlotte, meh. Utah, no.
He
Indiana,
seems
no.
like a
Clippers,
perfect fit in like Miami. He feels like a Miami Heat
no.
player.
Lakers would have been sick.
I don't think he's a Miami. I think he's more of a Laker player than that. I think he would have been perfect in Brooklyn.
I think he would have been perfect in Milwaukee.
What, the next Chris Middleton?
No, the 60th pick.
Oh. Evan's like, dang it. He didn't fall to 42 or 59.
No, he didn't fall to 61. Free agency.
Oh, he wasn't going to. He's the best. Him and Grady are literally the best shooters probably in the draft.
Oh, he's so good, man. Why?
All right.
Troy Weaver, trade up for this guy. Like, what are you doing? Whatever.
We've been here forever. Any thoughts? Final thoughts on the 14?
Excited for Asar Thompson in Detroit. Excited for Bilal Coulibaly in Washington, I guess. And yeah, we'll
That's
see.
a random pick to shout out.
Because he likes the Wizards.
Oh, okay.
He's a big Wizards fan.
I do like the Wizards, but we'll see. I think
Even
Hawkins to
post-John
New
Wall.
Orleans is probably the most value. And yeah, I mean, this draft class was obviously the Victor draft. We all know it.
Case and Wallace.
Who knows what happens from
Forgot.
there on out? So yeah, we'll see. But phenomenal evening with the boys, and the draft continues. It's going to go all night, and you know it was fun to cover the lotto with you guys.
Yeah. I'm cool with Asar. Stinks we didn't get top 3, but you know, we move on. Cade Cunningham, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Duren, and now Asar Thompson is going to be the next name in that group. So, you know, we hope that it works out. This was fun, you know, reacting to it live. So I appreciate you guys always bringing me on for the drafts because you guys know that's my thing.
Of course.
I had a really good time, and you know, even though the NFL draft's my bread and butter, the NBA draft is always a fun time.
I'd say
And,
the NBA draft's a little bit easier to react to live because you know the NFL draft
It's
just a little chaotic.
days, and yeah, there's a lot
Yeah.
going on. Like
Because this is all
that
done in
one's a
one
little bit
night.
nicer. Just kind of sit back,
Yeah.
watch, see what happens. This one, yeah, it's one night, and you know the lottery is really all that matters. So getting
Bro's
to
mad
watch
he's
it,
got to go to New
react to it
Orleans.
is cool.
Bro's crying he's got to go
He's
to
like,
NOLA.
I'm mad too. He's like, dude, this guy's
Zion's
Zion.
like, I didn't want to be here either.
I know,
So.
I know. They're all
Yeah, you
there.
bringing me food?
That's such a good pick, man.
Yeah.
I hate that New Orleans made that.
That's a great 6-man shooter off the bench.
It is a great piece.
He's so good. I love Jordan Hawkins. Oh, that pains me. But
The show goes on.
say la vie.
I don't know what to think. I think Grady's going to live it up in Toronto. Hawkins, great pick. I don't think Sir or whatever, I don't think he's going to be a Piston for more than like 5 years, but
He's not getting that extension.
no, I don't think so.
Man.
I think he can be a great like asset while we're rolling and potentially a great trade piece, but I don't think he's gonna be part of this carrying the franchise, you know, like Ivy and Cade will be. But I think there is upside to him though. I don't think he's gonna be Stanley Johnson or worse. I can put that out there. I think he'll be better than him. But yeah. But name of the game's shooting. Shooting's the name of the game, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
So we'll see if he can fix that and pick that up. But
And the Pistons got a big offseason ahead, so we'll see how that all goes.
Yep. Cannot operate in a vacuum.
and
You
yeah.
know, like it's going to be more than just a SAR. There's going to be more. There's going to be more movement. So we'll have to wait and see. But this really is the kickstart to the NBA off season, and we can't wait for more. Lots more to talk about for sure in the weeks ahead.
Yeah, we'll see if we're back next week or if we're going to go back to our every other week. We'll see. I know this is officially the big gap. We're officially hitting the big gap. I don't know what's going to happen.
Now we have to really wait till football season.
Yeah,
we do have one more, PGA champion. Well,
Yeah.
the Open.
Yeah.
We have that. So
And
one more major,
before we close out here, check out the Hawks pick right here. And Kobe Buffkin from Michigan goes to the Hawks.
2 Michigan players in the top 15.
In
and
Orlando,
no tournament appearance.
Orlando is kicking themselves. They missed out on a Wolverine.
But thank you guys. Another episode. First NBA draft. We'll see how the season goes. We'll be back at some point to talk about it. But as for this episode, we will see you guys next time on Squeeze the Juice. Peace.